Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Art of MMA. I'm your host, Mike Ginn. Brand new episode. Of course, we're going to be breaking down Rozenstruik and Gane and that whole card this weekend. We're going to be looking forward to UFC 259 and those three title fights. We're going to be making picks for all three plus a fight of our choice. So you'll get 4 picks out of us this week. And we're going to be breaking down the news. So if you're ready, Brandon, I'm ready.
Ready.
All right. Of course, that's Brandon Cuttino, the mechanic, joining me as always. Brandon, the news that kind of popped out to me this week, right off the bat, Chimaev, he made an emotional post. You know, you mentioned to me off air, you never really know whether Dana's kind of speaking as a promoter or if he really is speaking the truth sometimes. I'll play devil's advocate for you, so you don't really have to take that side this time. But Dana came out afterwards, said, you know, he's been on this medication. They brought him out to Las Vegas because of all the COVID complications he's been having. He's doing a lot better, but one of the things on the medication you can't do is train. And of course, he's a fighter. He lives in a gym. He basically lives at one point he was living like, I guess, in a basement below the gym in Sweden that they were at. And he trains. It's what he does. And so when he finally trained, he didn't have a good training session, felt horrible, felt like he couldn't do this anymore, had an emotional post on Instagram. Dana came out afterwards, said he was just being emotional. We expected him this summer. What do you think of that whole situation?
Man, it's like we talked about, you know, man, you can't really trust the promoter because my thing is I go back to his whole thing with Khabib and how he would say, oh, you know, Khabib's coming back. But then you listen to Khabib and Khabib saying like, nah, I'm not coming back. I'm retired. Like my thing is this, like when you read the article, it's what Dana White is telling, but you're not hearing anything from either Chimaev or like even his manager to say anything. Like to me, it's like Dana White wants him to fight. That's why Dana White's trying to say, oh yeah, you know, we're gonna try to bring him back in June because this way this gives him time to get himself ready and everything like that. You know, he's not trying to rush him into anything because he wants him to fight. So that's what's just one of the things was just, man, I'm just not, you know, I really don't know who to believe.
Yeah, my thing about that is like I'm the same way because I definitely don't trust anything Dana says, but you know, it makes sense this time. Like this isn't a matter of him trying to talk him into fighting. This makes sense as to his health, and Dana definitely doesn't want a lawsuit on his hands. He forced a fighter to fight who wasn't healthy. He got hurt real bad, and then that's a lawsuit. So, yeah, I find it hard to believe that Khamzat will be done. He fought so hard last year to make a name for himself, burst on the scene. He is having a lot of complications with COVID and the aftermath of that. So, you know, we just wish him a speedy recovery and hopefully we do see him back in the cage, but I guess time will tell on that one. Speaking back in the cage, Jorge Masvidal's hinting at a fight in September against Usman. There's a lot of people that have been calling this fight into question, whether they can make the terms work this time. It took a lot for them to make it work last time. Obviously, the dropout and Masvidal filling in on 6 days' notice when the UFC caved to his financial demands. Masvidal's even hinted at boxing Canelo. He's basically doing kind of what he did last time, where he wants to drive his price up. Is that the fight we see next for Usman?
When you're really looking at it,
we know they both want it, but is it going to happen?
Like I say, they both want it. Like Usman will take the fight because he wants to shut Masvidal up. I mean, and I'm saying too, if you look at the standings, there's really nobody there except for Stephen Thompson, but he's ranked number 5, and I just don't think
obviously the Kobe rematch.
Yeah, and I don't think the Kobe rematch is there. I don't think Usman wants to see Kobe whatsoever. He finished him. He stopped him. So he has nothing to prove with that guy. And plus, too, Kobe hasn't done anything since either. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, he has. He's won a fight. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he went and finished Woodley.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean.
But yeah, right.
I can see Masvidal. I can see Masvidal. I mean, that's one fight I see it because also too there was a talk about those guys being the tough coaches. So I mean, we should see what happens.
Yeah, I think if they do the tough thing, I think it's obviously a situation where Masvidal ain't no dummy. He knows the money's going to come in from the networks and everything else. He wants a piece of that pie. He doesn't want just the fight. He wants the money. So He's up there in his upper 30s now. He's not a young kid anymore. So at this point, he's fighting for paydays and titles. And, I feel like it's going to happen, but it's going to have to be the right price or it just ain't going to happen. Or at least we'll talk about it for another 6 months before it happens, maybe around Christmas. In other news, Rory MacDonald finally has a date for his much anticipated Pro Fighters League debut. He's going to be debuting April 29th. They announced that whole card of the welterweights and light heavyweights. He's going to be fighting off against former runner-up David Michaud. He also got other fights on that card, like Ray Cooper versus Jason Panay. Johnson Lawler, Sorty, and Camozzi make up the main card. They got all the rest of them, including UFC veterans like Gleason Seabow on the undercard. They got João Zeferino on the undercard, who in that fight with Magomed Kamirov, I thought should be on the main card personally. But a lot of great cards. This whole tournament is pretty stacked. So it's going to be interesting. What are you looking forward to on that card? Obviously, Rory MacDonald, but what other fights kind of stick out to you?
Like I had said before when we had first time out, like, their list of competitors for the tournament.
Yeah.
Tom Lawler, somebody who I'm looking forward to, to see how he's doing, because like I said, he's been doing pro wrestling for a while with MLW, Major League Wrestling.
So all over the place. I think he has a card on Josh Barnett's wrestling card. I think he's on there.
Yeah, actually, you're right. He's been doing Bloodsport as well for them. So I'm kind of interested, to see how he looks. I'm also interested to see how Chris Camozzi looks. You know what I'm saying? He took that little hiatus. He took that little hiatus from MMA. He had went to Glory. He was working on his striking there. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how he puts his striking in with MMA again.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that Magomed João Zeferino fight. I think that's going to be exciting. I think Ray Cooper versus Jason Panay is going to be a fun fight. And then I'm obviously, like all of us, we're looking forward to see what Rory MacDonald has, because we talked about this in depth before when the brackets came out. He looked up and down in Bellator. He looked great when he got there. He beat Lima. He won the title. He didn't look so great against Mousasi and on his way out. So, Mousasi makes a lot of people look bad. Let's see what Rory's got. He's been training down here in Florida. So different camps, see how it works. He's out of Canada, so he doesn't have to worry about the travel restrictions. He's nice and comfortable. He'll get a full camp. So it's going to be a fun fight. It's going to be a fun situation. This whole PFL, from the debut of Pettis and MacDonald, and obviously fighters that have been there for a little bit, like Lance Palmer, and even on the women's side, Kayla Harrison and all them, they're actually putting something together. It wasn't long ago we were talking about is PFL dead, and here they are knocking on the door with a really exciting 2021. So definitely wishing Ray Cephal and all those guys good luck, because they definitely have turned the corner and they're looking pretty positive for 2021, assuming everything goes down the way it's supposed to. And, knock on some kind of wood that COVID doesn't mess these cards up the way they've been messing up the UFC cards left and right.
Yeah, I want to say that they're doing things different this year, where I think they're just having all their fights be in Vegas, because I usually they go to Vegas, they would come here on Jersey,
put them in like a bubble
like that. Yeah, I think so. I think I want to say it's one of those things where I feel like they're doing theirs like as if the UFC was having people go to like Abu Dhabi. Are they not going to stretch? Are they not going to stretch it all the way through December like they did last year?
No, yeah, they are. You can't keep them on a hotel that long.
No. I think you have to be there like a good 10 days before your fight, and then after that you will go back, to wherever it is that you go train. And then I think like in August when they come back, they'll have them again come back like 10 days beforehand, stuff like that.
Come in early.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. It's just, it doesn't matter where you put them unless you do like the NBA with the bubble or NHL with the bubble. You're just really putting a risk, but these guys are already spending weeks away from their families. They're putting their bodies and lives on the line. It's almost an impossible situation to avoid it. We'll talk about some fight changes in a minute, but like Angela Hill and Yoder at the last second, then you got Jimmy Rivera his camp got pushed back for like a week or two. It's just so hard. Every card is having like 3 or 4 fights get affected weekly now because of it. So
yeah,
a lot have been able to bounce back, but we just talked about Chimaev and he hasn't been able to bounce back yet. So one other piece of news before we get into some other stuff. Bellator is getting ready to finally announce their official rankings. I don't know. Me and Brandon have gone back and forth. I thought they had rankings before, but maybe I was wrong. But sometime ahead of their card at 255 on April 2nd, when they get their new season kind of underway, they will be announcing their rankings. Brandon, is this going to be like a situation where they just go like the UFC division, and then also maybe have like a pound for pound type thing?
I do know that it is going to be division. I'm not sure. I'm not really too sure about the pound for pound, but
I heard they're going to be taking votes from the MMA media. Can we vote?
It's only certain people. We aren't there yet,
media,
buddy.
Art of MMA.
Yeah, but we're not there yet.
First.
Nah.
Brandon's got the tea. What
yeah.
media is this?
Yeah, but not they're doing
MMA junkie again.
Yeah, no. I think they only got one person from MMA junkie, but but the thing is I like about them is that a lot of the names that you see, like Jason Floyd, like Amy Kaplan, like there's some notable people that in the MMA media world. It's no like Ariel Helwani or anything like that. I mean, yeah, everybody knows Ariel Helwani, but it's not like a name that he's just kind of like all over the place.
Yeah, I get it. A lot of the reporters.
Yeah, so I'm kind of looking forward to that. Like I say, we'll see how the rankings look. I mean,
hey Scott, call me.
Yeah, I think they're only doing a top 10. They're not doing 15 like how the UFC does. I think they're only doing 10. So I'm kind of eager to see how their women flyweight looks at 10 because man, I feel like I couldn't even name 10 women, but they know the roster better than me.
I couldn't name 10 women on their roster pound for pound. I can go probably like 6, but after that, I'm like spacing names, and that's only because we've seen them fight recently. You know, Cyborg, LA, Velasquez, Keyholtz, Jackson. Who's Cyborg fight? She fought somebody who was a veteran.
There's Julia Budd.
Budd.
The former champ.
I'm sure they can find out 10 pound for pound, but per division, that's going to be rough.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they're just bringing in a bunch of new people for this year's roster. But yeah. Speaking of tournaments, obviously Bellator's got their Grand Prix getting ready to kick off, and they're finishing off their own featherweight tournament at the beginning of this year's cards. Cage Warriors over in the UK, they got a 4-man tournament going on. Real quick before we get to some changes and fight stuff, they got a 4-man tournament going on featuring Ackman versus Gary, Grant versus Fluminense. Those are going to be fighting for their welterweight title, which I believe became vacant when Houston went to Bellator, right? Ross Houston, when he went over to fight MVP, because he was their double champ. Yeah. So they're going to be filling that spot via a 4-man tournament starting March 19th. Cage Warriors 121. So pay attention to that. Cage Warriors always puts on some fun fights. Real quick before we get into UFC Vegas 20, let's talk about some fight changes. Obviously, last weekend, Angela Hill got canceled against Ashley Yoder. Their rematch is now moved to UFC Vegas 21, which will be in 2 weeks on March 13th. Once again, my fight pick got moved. That's 3 weeks in a row. If you guys are keeping track, Brandon has kind of caught up to me in the standings. I don't think he's earned it. I think it's just, he's just been like picking away because my fights keep falling off. So he's like picking up a win here, a win there. And here we are kind of tied, but I'm like a half point ahead of him because in the losses. But we'll get all that later in the picks. I'm just a little bitter that he kind of caught up to me without me actually having the chance to fight fair. They announced that Weili Zhang's going to be defending her strawweight title against Rose. UFC 261, April 24th. Brandon, I know you're excited about that fight.
Oh, you know it, man. You know me, I love the ladies, but +2, Rose, she trains with Trevor Whitman. And you know me, man, I've been hyping up Trevor Whitman. So I think this should be a very interesting one. And +2, Rose has the jits. So I mean, it's gonna be a good one.
I think this fight just comes down to Rose's mental state. When Rose is on her game, she can go through anybody. But when she's not, especially like after the Conor aftermath, she still had some I don't
PTSD.
know. Yeah, PTSD from the Conor situation. I was going to say the wrong word. I'm so glad you jumped in and saved me there. But yeah, she has the PTSD from that. She's had, she has definitely always been wear her emotions on her sleeve kind of person. So it helps her in fighting, but it also hurts her sometimes. So I think that fight comes down to her. I think Weili is a great champion. I'm not dismissing Weili, but I don't think she beats Rose on top of Rose's game. So it's going to be a fun fight. We'll obviously make the picks going into that one in April. They announced Courtney Casey's going to be facing J.J. Aldrich on the 13th as well. A couple fights happening later this summer. Davidson Figueiredo, Brandon Moreno put on that 5-round classic in December. Well, they're going to be having their rematch June 12th at an event to be determined. And then they also announced Shevchenko versus Andrade on UFC 261. Another ladies fight, Jillian Robertson, Miranda Maverick is now going to be on UFC 260. They got moved back about a month. And then a couple other things. Felicia Spencer is going to be fighting. We already talked about Gavin Tucker being in with Ryan Hall out against Dan Ige. And obviously Alex Perez versus Matt Schnell, UFC 262. So some stuff to look forward to. Brandon, you ready to get into some fight results?
You know it.
All right. I don't even know if Dana wants us talking about this card because he was so disappointed in the main event. But UFC Vegas 20 came and saw, it had some bright spots. Pedro Munhoz versus Jimmy Rivera might be one of the fight of the year candidates. It was just such a fun fight to watch. De La Rosa and Bueno Silva was a very close fight. Anaglev versus Krylov was a close fight. We saw some great rebounds, like Alexis Davis came back, dominated Mazo for 3 rounds. Dustin Jacoby had a razor-thin decision against Grisham. But let's go ahead and start off with the co-main, and we'll work from there. Magomed Ankalaev versus Nikita Krylov. Break down that fight for me, Brandon.
Hey, it's like what I mean. I actually thought it was gonna be worse for Krylov. Like I really thought he was gonna get finished, but I mean, yeah, exactly. He was tough. He did his thing. I really kind of thought he was gonna get a little more dominated on the ground. But but again, like I said, he held his own. He was tough. He didn't get finished. So kudos to him. But I just think it was too much for Krylov.
Yeah, and of course, you picked Anaklev and I picked Krylov, and I honestly thought Krylov had his opportunities too. Maybe I was looking at it more from a selfish point of view of like, come on, you can do this, get this win for me. He did have his moments, he won one of the rounds, but I think most of the fight was controlled by Magomed.
Yeah, I really want to say I felt like Krylov looked good in the first round, but then I think once the second and third came, it was a wrap.
Well, we talked about this last time Magomed fought. He's so patient. Mm-hmm. Like he doesn't go for he had those 2 quick knockouts his last 2 fights, but he doesn't go for that. He sits there and waits. If it comes, he'll put you to sleep. But if it doesn't, he'll take his time. He'll pick you apart and he'll win his fights. And that's exactly what happened in this fight. He took his time. He controlled the fight when he had the opportunity to, and he dominated most of the last half of the fight. So, it is what it is. I'd be interested to see where they kind of go from there. 205 is so crowded. But a lot of that will obviously play out this weekend with Izzy and Jean and see in Thiago and Rakic and all those guys kind of working themselves out.
But I want to say though, but those guys weren't ranked though, right? They weren't ranked, or were they?
Yeah, they were. Magomed is 7, and they're ranked now. But they only went up a little bit. Magomed was 11 before this fight, and he's now 7. Krylov was 8, and he is now 9. So, the only problem I have with Magomed is that he's already fought Anthony Smith. And they're 6 and 7, so
he might get he might get the winner of the Rakic Santos fight.
Either that or the Yuri Dominic Reyes fight.
Yeah. Either
one of those would be fun. I mean, both Ozdemir and Krylov are kind of on their way down. Johnny Walker. So maybe Krylov and Walker might be a fun fight.
Didn't Krylov already fight Johnny Walker?
Yeah, but it wasn't like dominating. I mean, it could be a rematch.
True, you're right.
You could even see somebody jump up, like a Paul Craig or somebody jump up to take off Krylov, because Krylov is coming off a loss and he's still kind of highly ranked. So, I was actually surprised to see Krylov as 9. Like I know he had a nice little win streak going on before this fight, but I don't know. I think Ankalaev is really the mystery because he's had some good wins. He's also had a couple losses. So. But the last 3 wins, he's looked so good. You have to jump him up, but you can't put him. We were just talking. It's a murderer's row at light heavyweight. Jan, Glover, Thiago, Reyes, Rakic, Yuri, Smith. Like those are the 6. Those are the 7 guys in front of him. So what's next for him? I think maybe he might even have to like kind of take the pickings if they kind of keep moving up, because then maybe he takes the loser of like Dominic Reyes versus Yuri. Yeah, because that still moves him up in the rankings. But yeah. So this main event, do we talk about it or we do Dana a service and just move on?
I mean, I say talk about it, man. Hey, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I didn't hate on it like everybody else because I was watching it because it's like the same, man. Yo, Gane did what he was supposed to do, man. He went in there, he won the fight. If anybody wants to get mad at the fight, say it's boring, yo, blame the guy who was losing the fight. Blame the guy who was losing the fight. He didn't do anything. He didn't do anything to change it. He just stood there and watched.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, Jair didn't do anything. The first round was kind of competitive, but they were both kind of feeling each other out. So you understand the first round when it's kind of slow. You're like, both guys can put each other to sleep. Neither guy wanted to do it. It kind of reminded me of Ngannou and Lewis a little bit, where they kind of just they didn't want to engage. They like knew each other could hurt each other.
Ngannou didn't want to engage. Derek Lewis was engaging, man. He was freaking doing scissor round kicks out here.
True. But I'm talking about early on, like early in the beginning. No, that was very much Ngannou still being shell shocked, if I could talk right, after the Stipe fight. But that's another rematch I hope we get to see one day where they actually try to actually hurt each other, because I think Derek Lewis is going to surprise a lot of people in his next opportunity, just like he did this last week. But this fight, honestly, 5 rounds. We both picked Gane to win the fight. Gane just kind of controlled the pace. He controlled the distance. He never put himself at risk. Rozenstruik threw a couple haymakers, kind of just missed, never really connected with anything. His output was low. His pace was low. I think he was more worried about getting hurt than he was like trying to win a fight. And, Izzy versus Romero, there's another good, sometimes it takes 2 to dance. Because as soon as you saw Izzy with Costa, all of a sudden Izzy's like back to being Izzy and he's doing what he does. So I'm not going to judge Gane on this performance. I remember Gane versus Dos Santos. I remember Gane versus a couple other his opponents. He can fight. I think it's a little premature for him to be talking about, hey, if anybody drops out of that heavyweight title fight, I'm ready. I think that's a little premature.
Hey, man, why not, man, dude? If you're hot, you roll with it, dude. Izzy was saying the same thing, man, when he was coming up. He was like, yo, I'm getting a title shot. Yo, he jumps in. You dare to be great, man. Dare to be great. And that's what God wants to do. 8 fights in, why not, man? You're feeling good. You're rocking with it. It's like one of those things. It's like one of these, like you went up actually his last 2 people. You went up against people who were you went up against a former champion in JDS, guy who has so much experience. You stopped him, then you get this guy, another guy who had a whole bunch of Muay Thai experience, and he had more MMA experience, and he just basically stared at you. He didn't do anything, man. Why not? Yo, you're feeling hot. You're feeling hot. Go with it. That's what I say.
Yeah, but so there's not much to really talk about this fight. So let's talk about what's next. Ciryl Gane, he wants that title fight. Obviously, he's very confident, but you can't jump him over Lewis, who just knocked out Blades.
Yeah. I mean, hey, he was just saying, hey, if you need somebody for to step in, I'm there. I don't think he was calling for the title shot, saying, hey, I want a title shot. He was just saying, hey, if somebody falls out, you need somebody to step in, I'm your guy. If Derek Lewis can't step in, I'm your guy, because he didn't get touched. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe that dude's fighting in like 2 months or something.
Yeah, I like Gane a lot. I just think it's a little premature. And honestly, I'm a little confused by the rankings. So Gane jumped all the way up to number 4. Rozenstruik only dropped down to 6, which I thought he should have dropped further. But the guy who Gane jumped over, Volkov, just looked incredible versus Overeem. Both of them were currently ranked ahead of Gane. So they kind of all flipped spots, but Volkov got left there at 5. Yeah. I think Ciryl Gane versus Volkov would be a good fight. I think Volkov should be ranked higher than Gane personally. I think if somebody dropped out of the title fight, I think Volkov would probably be the best bet to fill in because he'll be the freshest.
Yeah.
Because his fight was back like in January.
I mean, I can see Volkov probably being number 4, and then Gane, he could be 5. You know,
that's personally how I would have ranked it. But also, I might have even dropped Blades down to 5 and moved Gane and Volkov up. But Blades won so many fights before; it's kind of hard to move him out of that 3 spot.
Yeah,
they got a lot to figure out. You know, obviously John Jones isn't even ranked, and he's the next guy up. So it's going to be really interesting to see what. Sorry about the little buzzing there. It'll be really interesting to see what's going on with that. Dear podcasters, make sure you put your phone on silent when you're recording.
Yeah, I was going to say, man, before we move on to the fight, this is a fight right here where I look at a fight and I tell people, you look at this fight, don't have a problem with open scoring. Because to me, this fight is exactly what I tell people with open scoring. It doesn't matter. If you know you're losing and you still do nothing, what does it matter if you still know that you're losing and it's open scoring? Like, that's what I think. Like everybody always talks about the person winning on how they're gonna coast and the person losing is gonna go for it. But it's like, dude, if you know you're losing, and like Rozenstruik knew he was losing, man, he wasn't doing anything. That 5th round, he did absolutely nothing. He stayed the same course. Like, that's the thing I don't understand when people go like, oh, well, you know, that person just gonna coast. Gane didn't coast. He just did the same thing he was doing because Rozenstruik didn't make him do anything different.
I don't think it's a one size fits all.
Use his jab and move around.
I don't think it's a one size fits all. Because you do have some fighters, if they think they're losing, they may go for it. When if they don't, they might not. You know, it's not a one size. It might work for some people. It might not work for others.
I mean, I just say, man. I mean, you look at those T. Woodley fights before, when it's like, bro, you know you're losing. Your corner's telling you you're down, and then like Dean Thomas would be yelling at T. Woodley, like, yo, you need to make something happen, and Woodley would just go out and do absolutely nothing. It's like, man, like, it's just not there to me. You know, like,
in general, most fighters know they're winning or losing anyway.
Exactly. That's what I tell people. I'm like, dude, like, I mean, unless you're gonna try to pull some Alex Hernandez nonsense, it's like, bro, you know you lost that fight, and you're gonna give it a shock face when they say the other guy's name. Like, come on, bro, you know you lost that fight.
But you know, the fight I always look to is that Condit Diaz fight, right? Like, that would have been a
Condit
good fight.
won that fight. That's all I'm gonna say.
I agree. I've said it a number of times. I agree. Or you look at, I'll even go the boxing route. You look at De La Hoya and Mayweather. If you judge crowd response, then you look at Nick Diaz, you look at Oscar. But if you actually watch the fight and you watch the technical side of the fight, you went with Condit, you went with Mayweather. Mm-hmm. Turn off the announcers, turn off the crowd, watch the fight. It's a lot different experience. Now, those fights would have been better with open judging, because as a fan, you would have been like, oh man, Condit won that round. I don't know if he won it, but the judges gave it to us, so now Diaz needs a finish. Like, yep. Whereas Diaz might have been thinking he was winning going into the last round. It's the fights that are razor close, that every round is a little bit of this and that you kind of like open scoring would be really good for. Yeah. Because then you kind of you like, man, I thought I won that round, but the judges gave it to him, so now I really do need a finish. Like those kind of situations, I think where it would be really good.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I just think, man, I'm just a fan of open scoring, because to me, it's like, man, why not know where you are? Because the thing is, like, you don't know what the judges are seeing. Because remember, right, they're in different spots. Like say, like, you as a fighter could be thinking that you're winning. You be thinking like, oh, you know what? I got this round. All right, cool. I got that round. Because you can even see it, like corners will tell the fighter, be like, oh yeah, you know, you're good. Yeah, you took that round. And then boom, next you know, you look at the judges, and he's like, wait, no, I thought I won that fight. You know, so like to me, you know where you're staying at. Your corners know, because they can look up and tell you, be like, oh, hey, you're up, or hey, no, you need to go for that finish.
Yeah, I've always suggested they actually move the judges up to like some kind of like box, like somewhere up away from the cage where they can watch it on, like they can watch the fight, but they could also watch the TV monitors and like see what we see at home. Because I feel a lot of times they get stuck that close to the cage and they're watching the fight. And even though I know they all have monitors in front of them, I feel a lot of them are watching what they see. And like you said, if they're on the other side of something, they may miss something. And that affects their judging a lot too. But we will get off our rant for MMA judging and the scorecards. Keep talking about this fight card. Other results, Dustin Jacoby beat Maxim Grisham. Close fight. knew you were talking about that little one a little bit too. Jacoby kind of came and did what he was supposed to do. I don't think it was questionable that he won 29-28, but Grisham definitely had his moments. Ronnie Lawrence versus Cachero, TKO in the third round.
Performance of the night.
Yeah. I think Ronnie Lawrence kind of like elevated himself pretty good with that one. We were talking about Alexis Davis and Mazo. Mazo was actually favored in this fight. Davis had lost a few fights in a row. And I wouldn't have thought it was a stretch to say she might have gotten cut if she lost this one. And she came out and looked like her old self and dominated from the beginning to the end. She was on the ground. She was on her feet. She controlled the whole thing. So shout out to Alexis Davis. She looked great. Thiago Moses versus Alexander Hernandez. We just talked about that, but, in fairness, that would be a good fight for open scoring, right? Because you had two judges score 30-27. The other one gave it 29-28. If you're Alex Hernandez, you hear 29-28, you think you were in the fight more than you were.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think there was any question, Moises won the fight, but Alex Caceres looked great against Kevin Croom, dominated 30-26, 30-26, and 30-27. He has looked really good his last couple fights, and I think it's a damn shame he's not fighting more ranked opponents because he's been around forever.
Yeah,
like I know he's got to be one of your favorite guys with the whole kickboxer background and everything like that.
Hey man, Bruce Leroy, man, Ultimate Fighter,
Absolutely.
I think he was Team GSP, right?
Who do you think should be next for him?
He
needs a ranked opponent.
I want to say, is he even ranked?
No, but he should be.
Yeah, I would either say, man, he can get, man, maybe he can get my boy Shane Burgos, I'd be down to see that fight. Never mind. I just got some breaking news about Shane Burgos.
Break it. Let's go. He's got a fight lined up.
What is it? Shane Burgos fighting Edson Barboza, UFC 262.
Wow. I was it was sucked that his fight fell out last second, when he was preparing back in January. So they got him at 262. He has to wait a while, but that's a good fight.
Yeah.
So shout out to Shane. Shane, that means you got time to come on the show for an interview. I'm just saying. But that's awesome. That's a great fight. Breaking news on Art of MMA. See, look, that's why we keep Brandon on the show. No, I'm just kidding.
All right. So then going on. All right, fine. So okay, so Shane's out then, and then Barboza's out.
That's that Tiger Schulman's connect.
Then how about who's ranked 15 then? Who's ranked 15?
Evlov. Mozart.
Yeah, so why not him?
Bryce Mitchell's another guy that's just sitting there.
I don't know if Caceres wants to roll with that ground game yet.
But that might be a good challenge.
That's true.
I always love watching those strikers versus wrestlers and jiu-jitsu guys, like the challenge whose style is going to win. Because let's be real, Bryce struggled with Feely. He won, but he struggled, and Feely gave him all the trouble in the world. And obviously, Feely has a nice ground game as well, very underrated. But Bryce is supposed to be rolling through people with his jiu-jitsu, thug nasty. And it'd be interesting to see him with somebody that can stand and bang, and if he can make up the distance and get that takedown, because Caceres has been in there with everybody. He's been in there with grapplers. He's been in there with everyone. So I want to say he's fought Barboza before. But
who has?
Alex Caceres. I feel like they fought before.
Think so.
Now I gotta go look it up. But that would definitely be there's just so many fun fights at 145. Jared Gordon, another guy, but that probably should be ranked. He's never fought Barboza, but
I'm sorry. I'm like, I don't think so.
But he has been in the UFC since 2011. So
yeah, like I said, I really want to say I think he was Team GSP, Ultimate Fighter. People, hit me up in the comments if I'm wrong about that. All right, let me know.
His debut was UFC Fight Night, Nogueira versus Davis. And then he was on UFC Live 5, the Hardy versus Lido fight. So I don't think he was on Ultimate Fighter.
Well, Alex Caceres was. Bruce Lee was on the Ultimate Fighter. I'm saying that's where I know him from.
Did he get cut early?
No.
Well, he didn't make it to any of the results shows. Well, that is why we look up the results sometimes. Other things going on. I'm going to let my man talk about this real quick. Pedro Munhoz, Jimmy Rivera. Instant classic, man. Rivera went through hellfire and brimstone. Like, his leg was tore up. But he, even to the end, had a chance to knock out Munhoz. Like, he was landing bombs every round. I thought it was 29-28 Munhoz, but I got to be honest. I felt like the announcers did a disservice to Rivera because they kept making it look like it was such an easy decision. But every round, I was seeing Rivera clock Munhoz on the jaw, like left and right. So break that fight down for me.
And man, like you said, it was a good, it was a good fight. It was a close fight, man. Jimmy, man, as they kept on saying during the whole announcement, Jersey strong, Jersey tough. It was just him, man. It was about
Jersey, would you?
but it's just those calf kicks, man. Those calf kicks is what did him in. Because like I said in the breakdown before, man, I said that Jimmy was the better striker, better boxer. The only thing I know we had to worry about with Pedro Munhoz was that he had a nice guillotine. But if you're just gonna strike with Jimmy's gonna take you out. And like I said, man, you saw, man, he was connecting more with his punches and everything like that. But those calf kicks, man, that's what came in, and then boom, you take out somebody's legs, then they can't really generate as much power as they can in those punches. So I'm thinking maybe, like you're saying, he was still throwing some bombs, he still throwing some heat at Pedro, but he maybe wasn't getting all his power because he couldn't really, push off or like torque onto his front. I
think Pedro controlled the distance well. I think, with the leg kicks, the attempted takedowns, and just he kept things mixed up enough.
Yeah.
I thought he won the fight, but it's another case of MMA judging. Like, you get hyped up, and it's not like those judges can't hear Joe Rogan or not Joe, John Anik and all those guys talking. Like, they can hear them. The fighters can hear them with no fans. They can hear them. I don't think they let that play in their decisions, but what I was watching and what I was hearing were two different things. And maybe I'm being a fanboy a little bit too, because I'm a big Jimmy Rivera fan too. But and for Pedro Munhoz, he's been around a long time. He's beat some major players, and he's never been finished, ever. He's never been stopped. So even though Jimmy was landing those bombs, for him to finish him would have been the first time ever. So I thought Jimmy was going to win the fight. I'm not upset at the decision, but to have two cards say 30-27, I kind of wonder what they were watching, because the first round I actually gave to Rivera, even though it could have gone either way. And the third round could have gone either way, because even though Munhoz was still landing those kicks, Rivera would land a bomb every now and then. So it was really significant strike versus just volume, I guess. It's probably how you weigh it. But I'd love to see them break that tiebreaker, run it back. Obviously, Jimmy won the first time they fought in a split decision win. So they're one apiece. Maybe a rematch this summer might be fun to watch. Both of them kind of hinted at it. So that'll be fun. I don't think Munhoz really has much to look forward to after he lost that Frankie Edgar fight. So he's got to still win a couple more fights before he can be talked about in the title hunt anyway. So might be a fun rematch. The only other fight, De La Rosa versus Bueno Silva. How did you see that fight? Like, I'm on the fence about a draw. I thought De La Rosa won, but that's just me.
No, I had
you had Silva winning?
Yeah, I had wanted Rosa to win, like going in looking at it, because I was a fan of her. I'm a fan of hers because she too, she was on the Ultimate Fighter as well. But I think what happened was, I think what made it the draw was that she had got that point taken away. So I think if she didn't get that point taken away for the fence grab, she would have won.
I've never seen somebody lose a point for fence grabbing.
And man,
I've seen people get warned a bunch of times. I've seen the ref actually go and smack somebody off the cage. And what's the big ref that has like the long like beard, like mustache, like handlebar?
I know what you're talking about.
I've seen him walk up and literally smack somebody on the back, be like, "Let go of the cage." Like, I've seen that. but I've never seen somebody lose a point for that. That was crazy to me.
I think it's Mike Beltran. That's his name.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, Mike Beltran. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I just realized too with that guy. I think he's only licensed in California. But I think he's gonna get his license for Vegas now too. So you might be seeing him in some Vegas shows.
He's always fun to watch. He's a good personality.
Yep.
A lot of those refs don't get the love they deserve. Obviously, we talk about Herb, we talk about John McCarthy, we talk about Mark. A lot of those guys, Jason Herzog. There's some really good ones, but it's a lot of fun ones too. All right, you ready to make some picks?
Yes, I am.
All right. Well, we are officially neck and neck. I got him by a half point, mostly because all my fights have been canceled lately. So I'm 11-7. He's 11-8. Ironically, if the Jimmy Rivera fight had happened when I first picked it, it might have been opposite. You might have actually been ahead of me. So there you go. And poor Erik Johnson. Erik, you got to get back on the show so you can make some picks because you're still 0-3. And we're going to get some other guests on soon to kind of make some picks as well. This week, we're going to do things a little bit differently. We're going to pick every title fight, so 3 title fights, and then we're going to still pick a fight of our choice. I will let Brandon start off with this one. We're going to rock off with the main event, Jan versus Izzy. We've been talking about it long enough. Brandon, who wins and why?
Man, I'm not going to lie, man. You've been messing with my head listening to you talk about this fight. But I'm still gonna rock with my pick. I'm going with Izzy. You know what? I got to go with the striker.
I've been messing with people on Twitter too. A lot of people have been talking about this, and I've been like playing devil's advocate. I'm like, well, you never know.
Exactly, because you're right, man. You know what I'm saying. He is going up in weight. Jan is a bigger guy, but I just think, man, if they're just gonna stay standing, they're gonna keep it striking. Izzy is just gonna outperform. He's gonna be a sniper, and he's gonna snipe him. That's what I say. I'm thinking, man, it could be a finish. If it's a finish, I could see second or third round.
The only loss Jan has in his last 9 fights is Thiago Santos, where he got caught in the 3rd round and got knocked out. He's beat Dominic Reyes. He's beat Corey Anderson. He's beat Jacare. He beat Luke Rockhold. I mean, talking about kickboxers, he beat Luke Rockhold. He beat Krylov. He beat Jimmy Manoa. He beat Cannonier. He beat Clark. A lot of guys who can strike in that list. You don't know what the weight is going to do. Izzy's going to have the reach advantage. He's got the height advantage over Jean. I've been playing devil's advocate all week long on Twitter. People posting on Art of MMA. I'll go back with them and be like, a lot of people are like, well, if Jan wins, is it the biggest upset in history? I'm like, no. First of all, one champion beating another champion is not even an upset, let alone the biggest upset in history, especially when the one fighter is coming up in weight. You don't know with the heavier hitters like Blachowicz what Izzy's going to do. Does he hit him and Blachowicz falls down? Does he chop his legs out and eventually, like Costa, Blachowicz falls down? Or does Blachowicz do like he did against Reyes, take every punch he has possible, and by the 2nd round, Reyes is tired and Blachowicz is the one pounding the shit out of him? Damn, I went weeks without actually cursing on the show. It's the inner Sergio in me. But I'm going to go devil's advocate. I'm going to keep my win streak alive. I'm going to keep my standings alive. I'm going Jan in this fight. I think it messes up all of Dana's plans. I think everybody wants to see Izzy win this and maybe even pull the Roy Jones and go all the way up to heavyweight. I don't think that. I think he's going back to 185 after this. I think this 205 is a little bit too much for him. I think Blachowicz has got that Glover Teixeira in him where 205. He's just going to go through him. He's going to take his punches and he's just going to keep coming forward and he's going to land one on Izzy. And that's something you don't see very often is Izzy get hit. And he's going to get hit in this fight because even if Blachowicz is hurt, he's still going to keep coming. So I'm taking Blachowicz in this one. It's nice to finally have a main event where we pick separately so we can root against each other for once. Co-main events, Amanda Nunes, Megan Anderson. I'm going to start on this one. I don't think there's any debate. I think Nunes all day. I think Megan Anderson's a talented fighter, but I never thought she was on the level of a Nunes or a Cyborg. Of course, the former Invicta 145 champion. She struggled a little bit in UFC, but she's gotten back on track. I'm taking Nunes in this one. Do you see it any different?
I'm just gonna be different just to be different. I I'm
Come
not
on,
gonna
man. They
lie.
want our expertise. They don't want us picking against each other to be spiteful.
Nah, man. Like, no. Like, honestly, I do. Like, if you look at it, hands down, Nunes is the better fighter. I think she has the better ground game. Striking wise, she is good. Probably is better.
I want to get some popcorn because I want to see how you get from praising Nunes to how Megan Anderson is going to win this fight. But go ahead.
No, it's just, man, I just want to. I like the thing with like when they originally were trying to do the Megan Anderson fight. I just thought it was just too soon for her. But it's been what, I don't know, maybe what, like 2 years since I mean she was supposed to fight her originally.
At least a year, but yeah.
Yeah, you know, and I mean it's just, man, you know, she does hang out with a good camp as well. You know, I just think, man, that they maybe got something cooking in their lab, and Megan Anderson is gonna shock the world, man. It's just, man, yo, she's big, like she is a true 145er, has the height, has the reach, and she got some pop in her hands too.
But she couldn't even beat Felicia Spencer.
Hey, man, she got taken down, and Felicia Spencer took her back. I think she got her into submission.
She lost to Holly Holm.
Hey, it's Holly Holm.
She only beat Kat Zingano because of an eye injury.
That's true.
So beating Norma Dumont and Zara dos Santos, I'm sorry, even though they were first round finishes, that doesn't impress me when you look at.
I know, like I said, man, I think Nunes might win this one. Actually, Nunes probably is going to win this one, but
so who you picking?
I'm going out, man. I just think Megan Anderson's going to take it. I think she's going to shock the world. And she's going to shock the world.
All right.
Hey, man, remember, everybody was doubting my girl Holly Holm when she went up against Ronda Rousey. Not this guy.
No,
so
I picked Holly Holm.
It can happen again.
You can check my tweets. I picked Holly Holm in that one. You can add him at Cuttino TSMA during this fight because I would love to chime in and watch those responses. And if you have anything to send to me, _ aka Mike, same on all the networks, same for Brandon, it's on the same on all networks. So get involved, let us know. The other fight, I think we actually might differ on this one too. Peter Yan versus Sterling. I'll let you go ahead and start with this one.
Man, you know what it is. East Coast, Aljamain Sterling. I think Sterling's all day. I'm sorry, man. I'm just not that impressed with Peter Yan. Like, I still think Jimmy Rivera beat him. I mean, hey, I could be biased, but I still thought he beat Yan. I think Yan just caught him at the end at those last 2 rounds. And then it's like, bro, who has he really beaten, man? You know, he whooped up on Uriah Faber, you know. You know, I mean, he did have a good fight with Aldo, but yeah, you know, it's just I think Aldo, I mean, better wrestling definitely. If he takes him down, he's gonna wrestle him, he's gonna submit him. Aldo does have the reach, so I mean, hey, man, if he's been working on his kick game, you know, man, he can maybe use those legs, keep him at bay, and hey, man, he can maybe catch him with a head kick.
I'm picking Yan, but I'm not confident in it.
So you're doing what I was doing with Megan Anderson. Okay.
No, but I'm not picking the champion. I'm not going devil's advocate trying to pick the underdog. But here's why. The only fight Peter Yan's lost, whether they were close or not, you have to go all the way back to when he fought Magomedov, who's now in Bellator, back in 2016 by a split decision. It wasn't even a clean finish. He has won every other fight. He's never been stopped, right? You look at Sterling, while he's on a 5-fight win streak, he's also had some up and down moments in his career. You know, he had the split decision loss to Caraway and Rafael Assanio, and he lost by the knockout via Marlon Moraes. You know, he did beat Corey Sandhagen, who's on a tear, which actually inspired Corey Sandhagen to go back and get better. You've seen his last couple fights, how he's felt after that. He did outpoint Pedro Munhoz. He beat Jimmy Rivera, whether it was, you know, whatever the reason for those decisions as well. Stamann, Johns, you know, he's going through and he's beat the people he's supposed to. He beat former champion Renan Barão. Like, he's done what he's supposed to do over the years. But when you're going against a guy who hasn't lost in 5 years, who just beat arguably one of the greatest champions of all time, who isn't done, I don't think Aldo's done, despite what people think. I think he has some gas in the tank. And then you look at the fact that Sterling hasn't been that active, really. He's fought twice in 2 years, June in each of the last 2 years. He hasn't fought since last June. He just hasn't been that active. So I don't know what to expect out of Sterling. And I think the last time he fought a guy who could strike like Peter Yan, outside of Sandhagen, obviously, which he caught in a rear naked choke. So that's kind of a different situation. Mariah's put him to sleep. So I'm actually rooting for Sterling. I love Funkmaster. I think he's one of my favorite fighters to watch. But the professional in me is picking Peter Yan in this fight. And that's just, I'm going to go final answer on that one, Peter Yan. So we're definitely going to have some different rankings next week, Brandon. All right, go ahead and pick one other fight on that card. There's a lot to choose from. Everyone from Thiago Santos to Rakic. Cruz is fighting Casey Kenny. You got Yadong Song versus Kyler Phillips. Benavidez versus Askarov. Bonatorin versus Kai Kara France. Tim Elliott versus Jordan Espinoza. You got Kennedy versus Carlos Ulberg. You got Sean Brady back against Jake Matthews. Souza versus Lemos. Medic versus Cruz. And to finish it off, Bautista versus Jones. So what's your fight pick of the night?
Man, I'm not gonna lie. Originally, I was gonna go with the Dominic Cruz Kenny fight, but I'm gonna just keep it on the main card, and I'm gonna go with Drew Dober, man. I really been liking how
Oh yeah, the one fight lately. I forgot to mention.
Exactly. That's the fight I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Drew Dober, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's been changing up his training. He too is training with Justin Gaethje, so which means he's training with Trevor Whitman. So I'm gonna rock with Drew Dober. I think he's gonna win his fight.
You're picking a guy over one of Khabib's guys?
Yep.
An 18-1 guy who hasn't lost since 2015?
Hey, man. Yo, Drew Dober's looking sharp, man. We'll see what happens.
I'll let you have your pick. I think Islam's going to win that fight. But I wouldn't be surprised. I'll say that. I wouldn't be surprised. The last fight that Dober lost was against Darush a couple years ago, so he's been pretty hot as well. You're right. So, yeah, I'll give it to him. But I think Islam's going to win that fight personally. I was a little worried you're going to pick my fight because you said stick on the main card, so you panicked me for a second after you said you weren't going to pick the Cruz Kenny fight. But my fight, everybody knows I'm a huge Thiago Santos fan. Every time that guy steps in the cage, it's just get your popcorn ready, go tweet TO, do whatever you want. It's instant fireworks. It's a fun fight to watch. You know he's not going to be stopped very easily. Thiago Santos versus the Rocket, Alexander Rakic. I got Santos winning this fight. I think it's going to be a knockout. I think it's probably the second round or so. I'm sorry. I know Rakic actually watches the show from time to time, so shout out Rocket. But I do need to be a professional, and I am a Thiago Santos mark. So if you were fighting anybody else, I'd root for you, Rocket. But Thiago Santos, Thor himself, I think is going to walk through hellfire and brimstone and finish that one in the second round. That's my pick on that one. There are a lot of fun fights on that one. We said this a few weeks ago compared to 258. 259 is stacked. Yep. I can't even believe they charge for 258 because 259 is what a pay-per-view is. 3 title fights, former title contenders everywhere. I mean, when you look at the fact that Joseph Benavidez is the 8th fight on the card, and the only person
Benavidez and Dominic Cruz are both on the prelims.
Yeah, and the only fight that Benavidez lost is to Figueiredo twice. Like, who's the champ? Once again, you know, same as like when he fought Mighty Mouse over and over again. He beat every single other person until he fought them. But Askar is undefeated, so I'm looking forward to that fight. I'm looking forward to seeing Sean Brady back in the cage. Everybody knows we have those connections with the Philly MMA scene, Jonathan Webb, Ryan Cafaro, all those guys. So big fan of Sean Brady. I'm looking forward to he's fighting a tough guy, though. Jake Matthews is no slouch. What other fights you really looking forward to before we get out of here?
I mean, really, you kind of been that. Like, I was looking forward to the Sean Brady fight, you know, saying, you know, Philly guy.
Matrix
yeah.
song.
You know, and but really, like, you know, Dominic Cruz, I'm looking to see how he does. Joey B, see how he bounces back, you know. But I'm trying to think what else is there that I was really into. I really want to say like those really were the main three. Yeah, I kind of want to say, yeah, nah, those are really just the ones. We kind of actually, you know what? Nah, I'm kind of interested in seeing the hell is it? Kai Kara France.
Kara France against
And so,
Bellator.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking to see how he bounces back because I want to say because I want to say didn't he lose his last fight?
Yeah, Brandon Royval.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm kind of looking to see how he bounces back.
I haven't heard anything in a while. Have you heard anything about Royval's injury? Is he close to coming back?
Nah, I haven't heard anything.
That kid was so excited in 2020, and then he got hurt. He popped out his shoulder against Moreno, and now who knows what's next. I hope he gets back soon because he is a fun fighter to watch. I want to see Royval back in the cage. Well, Brandon, before we get out of here, I think I've decided today's promo code should be UFC 259 because, man, if you're not watching this card this weekend, you're not a fight fan. I don't care if Dana hates me for saying this. Pay for it, stream it. I don't care what you do. Watch this card. This is going to be insane. I almost, for kicks and giggles, did the promo code as Yudong Song. I just want to see if people spelled it right. But UFC 259, save you 15%. Promo code below. You also see it in the intro of the show coming up later. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Fighters first. Brandon's got the Art of MMA logo tee. Of course, we got the Bruce Lee legendary tee in there as well. Going to be working on some more legendary tees coming up soon. Brandon, anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I just want to say one thing. I just want to say, man, shout outs, man, to Dan Hooker. He finally was able to like hold his daughter, I think, yesterday because with the way how things are in New Zealand, he had to quarantine himself for like another 2 months before he could see his family. So I mean, somebody like that, man, shout outs to him, man. Saying, man, it's hard, to leave your family to go to another country, fight, and you got to be away from them a little bit longer. So I just want to say, man, props to him, Dan Hooker. You're just awesome.
Honestly, that's a guy I would love to have on Art of MMA sometime because he is such a fun interview. I've watched him go on a couple shows that he goes on regularly, and he just has the best personality. Like inside the cage, he's fun to watch, but outside the cage, he's fun as well. So, Dan, you always have an open invitation to come on this show as well, or in the or conversations. Brandon, I thought you were going to say something else though.
Make sure you guys like and subscribe as well. All right. Remember, man, let's grow this channel. All right. Let your friends know, and then tell your friends to tell their friends.
We don't do this for free. Well, we kind of do, but we do this to get the interaction with the fans. We do it because we love to do it, and we do it because we enjoy having the conversations with you. The last few episodes, we have had some great conversation in the comments. Hopefully we have some as well. Make sure you tell a friend, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. But more than any of that, the thing that means the most to me, leave a comment. Leave a comment below. Me and Brandon jump in the comments all the time. We love to go back and forth, Twitter, YouTube, wherever. It just lets us know you're watching, and it also keeps us involved with everything going on. So, ladies and gentlemen, for the mechanic Brandon Cuttino, I'm Mike Ginn. Thank you for watching. This is Art of MMA.